In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the wheel in Inventor for the train car project. This is going to be part one of a two-part tutorial. So we're going to start off by making the actual wheel shape. And then in part two, I will show you how to make this extrusion that holds the linkage arm, and then these cutouts for the circular pattern on the wheel. So the first thing we notice about making this wheel is that, again, we are working with a section view, and the section view can be revolved around a center axis. Now, it's really important to pay attention to the center mark on the wheel because every one of these dimensions is going to that. So one of the major mistakes that people typically make is they dimension everything to the bottom part, the bottom line of the section view, instead of making it to the center point. So what we're going to do is, let me do a side-by-side here. And we're going to start a new 2D sketch, and I'll go ahead and make it on the XY plane. So we have our front view orientation. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually create a construction line from the origin. So I click over here on Format, hover over my construction line icon, go to my Create tab, and create a line. Let's make sure that's straight. There we go. And now all of my dimensions are going to go here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to sketch out this basic shape. I'm not going to add in any dimensions yet. These little curved corners here are fillets, and those are details that we can add in later on. For now, we're just going to make them a little boxy. And before I go any further, let's make sure these are not construction lines. So let's turn that feature off. All right, much better. So we have a little curved piece up here, which I'm going to ignore for now. And I can go back in here, make a circle, and let's just go ahead and drag that out. And I can trim in my modify panel what I don't need. And that's how we get that basic shape. So now let's go ahead and start adding in my dimensions. So I know that from the center point of this circle to the center of my wheel is 1 inch. So I'll get a dimension, center point to rotation axis, that is 1 inch. From this next level to the center line is 0.75 inches. So from here to the center line is 0.75 inches. And from here, this next little level to the center line, which is here to the center line, is 0.25 inches. So that's a good place to start. Now, we're not quite done with dimensioning out this area. We still have a couple more dimensions to look at. So the first thing I want to point out is the radius of this arc. Now, arcs in Inventor are dimensioned using the radius, but circles are dimensioned using the diameter. So if I go to dimension and I click on this, it's giving me a leader line. So that's asking me for the radius dimension. So let's go ahead and type in 0.125, press enter, and notice the entire shape gets a little bit smaller. That's what we want. And this 0.25 is the distance or the diameter of the circle. So notice it's double the radius. So that means that from the top here to my bottom should be 0.25, as you can see. Press enter. That goes ahead and amends that. And finally, we want to make sure that this piece here is perfectly centered on the part. So it's asking us to dimension that to 0.125 inches. So go to this bottom piece, to the top of our part, drag this out, type in 0.125. It was already there because notice that this line is locked into place at the center of my circle. So what I can do from here is I've covered all of these dimensions. Now I can start looking at my radius. My radius for my fillets, which is R 0.0625 TYP. TYP means typical, which means that it can be assumed for my 1, 2, 3, 4 fillets. Let's go ahead and go to my fillet tool right here. I have to type in my 0.0625 inches first. And notice if you just hover over the location where you need your fillet, it will create it for you and give you a preview. So just click there, there. Try this again. Here, and here. And that's looking pretty good. So now that I have that done, there's one more dimension we have to look at, and that is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge of my part. Now this one's a little bit tricky because it's not shown on this image. You actually have to scroll down and you have to look at the diameter of the circle. This is looking at the back view of the wheel. The diameter of that circle is 0.280 inches, and it goes all the way through the part. So that means that from the center line to the edge of my profile, so we're going to get out of my fillet tool. So from the center line to the edge of my profile is going to be 0.280 inches divided by 2, or you can just type in 0.14. It's up to you. So now that we have that set up, we're going to right click, finish our 2D sketch, and let's go over here to revolve. It automatically selects my profile for me, so I just need to select my rotation axis, which is my construction line. Say OK for my check mark, and here is your wheel. Now for part 2, I'm going to show you how to make the circular pattern on the back and how to make this little extrusion coming off over here. But for now, go ahead and save your work and tune into the next tutorial.